What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the show. Happy Veterans Day to those of you that served, and thanks to all the families that supported the veterans. There's something about Veterans Day that always stirs a mix of gratitude and gravity in me, right? We pause, we post, we say thank you, and that matters. It really does. But I've been thinking a lot about what happens after the parades, after the flags are folded, after our veterans hang up the uniforms, the hashtags fall from our feeds, what happens then? Right? What happens the other 364 days a year? Because the truth is, some of the hardest battles aren't fought on the battlefield. They happen in the quiet, in the living rooms, in the early mornings when no one's checking in the upcoming holidays that feel more hollow than joyful. And I started thinking it's not just for veterans, right? It's for a lot of people this time of year. Although our veterans carry a weight many of us will never fully understand unless we were there. But also for anyone who's been through something hard and has gotten really good at wearing that mask if I'm fine. So before we dive into this topic, before we spend the next little bit talking about that, I want to thank you all for being here, being part of the community. Thank you for supporting us and helping us grow to reach our goal of being the most impactful podcast in the world. Your likes, your shares, your comments, your subscribes are doing a great deal of good in the world by helping us reach more people that need us. Maybe they didn't even know they needed us. We just showed up. So I'm excited this week to talk about checking in with people and to share some practical applications to answer those questions that sometimes we get stuck with of, man, I haven't been through what they've been through, so I don't know what to say. We're going to talk about that. So let's get into it. That mask of I'm fine, right? And why do I know that? Because I've been that. There's been times in my life where things weren't good, but I just said they were good. People ask me, how you doing? Good. But inside, you're secretly hoping somebody to ask you a little deeper question, maybe take time to sit and talk with you because it wasn't good. And whether we know someone like that or we are like that, I've been asking myself this week as we come up on Veterans Day and the emotions of Veterans Day and then the holidays following up, who am I assuming is okay because they haven't said otherwise? Right? Think about that for a second. Who are we just assuming is okay because they haven't told us they're not? And a lot of times, those are the people, the rocks in our lives, the ones we always count on that are always good, that sometimes need to talk more than anybody else. Because resilience doesn't always look like strength. Sometimes it looks like silence, like showing up to work, cracking a joke, going through the motions they do every day as they continue to build walls, like answering good when you're anything but. How many people are walking through life like this right now? Alone, steady, carrying something invisible, but part of them just wants to talk about it. Part of them wants to just know it's okay. And we can't fix everything, but we can notice. We can ask, we can show up. Not just on Veterans Day when it's convenient, but especially those regular days when people are quiet. When things are quiet, we take a moment to check in. So, how can we do that? How can we ask questions that might allow somebody who is strong, who is a rock, might allow them to open up to you? Right? We think about this. We say, "How are you?" all the time. How you doing? How's it going? It's polite, it's automatic, but it's also super easy to answer without thinking and without telling the truth. Because most of the time, when people ask how you're doing, how are you, they're just being polite. They're not wanting to engage in a conversation. So, what if we asked better questions? What if we asked better questions that allowed doors to open instead of us checking boxes to say we greeted somebody. Well, a question like this: what's been weighing on you lately? Or what's something you're proud of that no one's noticed? Think about that. When's the last time somebody actually asked you to share a success? To share something you're proud of doing, right? We don't do it enough. We go through the motions of checking in and talking and greeting and staying on a superficial level, but a lot of times we're just not making the space to really actually know. And why wouldn't we want to know somebody that's close to us greatest success recently? Why wouldn't we want to share in that? Or another one is, what's one thing you wish people understood about your story? About your story. That opens the door for them to talk about them, to share. Because these aren't casual questions, they're invitations. And what do they say about you? What do these kind of questions say about you? What's been weighing on you lately? What's something you're proud of that no one's noticed? What's one thing you wish people understood about your story? What do those questions say about you? To me, they say this. They say, you're here. I've got time, and I'm not afraid of the real stuff. I'm not afraid of real conversations. And here's the most beautiful thing. You don't need to be a therapist or a coach or a guru to ask any of these questions. You just need to care. You just need to listen without rushing to the next thing in life and just being there. Right? That's the power of a good question, is it doesn't gather information. It creates space for real conversations to take place. So in a season where so many people feel crowded by the expectations of the holidays, some by grief of, things that have been lost in the past, or by the pressure to keep up in such a commercial time, giving people that space to really be them is a gift. So maybe this week, instead of asking the people we come across, how are you? We ask something deeper when we have the time to truly listen and not to respond, not to solve any problems, just to witness. Witness where they are and who they are. Because sometimes being heard is the first step towards healing, towards recognizing we're not alone, and to remembering, as our friend Zach Curie always tells us, that we really do matter. Right? So as we head into the holiday seasons, lights, laughter, and togetherness, at least that's what the commercials tell everybody, right? And sometimes that's the pressure people feel, is to live up to what society says it's supposed to look like. And let me tell you, I love the holidays. I'm Christmas time, the holidays from Thanksgiving. That's one of my favorite times of the year. But I also understand that for a lot of people, it's hard. And you won't know who's struggling. It's not always the person who cancels plans and goes quiet. Sometimes it might be the person who's hosting, smiling, showing up. So I want to offer us a challenge as we go into this year. Not a big one, just a quiet one. I ask that you pick 3 people, not the ones you talk to every day, not the ones who always seem fine, or maybe it is the ones that always seem fine. Maybe it is. You pick them. 3 people who just might need a little extra light in their life, might need a little extra, dare we say, love, to remember that they matter to somebody else, that somebody's thinking of them. Send a message, make a call, drop by with coffee. And most importantly, give them one of the greatest gifts we can share nowadays, and that's ask a real question. Sit back and listen. Not with the intention of answering, not with the intention of solving, but just because you care enough to ask and listen. Because presence, real, grounded, intentional presence, being where we are, is truly one of the greatest gifts we can give, and it costs nothing. But if you are listening to this show and you're the one that's struggling, I want you to hear this. You're not alone. You're not a burden. And you're not invisible. You matter. Your story matters. And someone, maybe even someone listening to this right now, is ready to show up for you. So maybe the most important thing we can do is realize that the calendar shouldn't tell us when to care for people. It shouldn't remind us to check in because it's Veterans Day or it's a specific holiday. We could choose to care every day, to create space for people every day, to ask real questions every day, to listen to the people around every day. That's the work. It's also the gift. So whether you're checking in on a veteran, a friend, a neighbor, or yourself, do it with presence, do it with heart, and do it like it matters, because it does. So as we wrap up this week's episode, I want to leave you with a quote that I really like from Ram Dass. It says this: "We are all just walking each other home." Think about that. Everybody you meet in life, everybody you cross, what if we took that to heart and we realized our time together, we're just all walking each other home? Would we walk a little slower, a little closer, a little more aware of what's being said and not said? And we would truly listen? So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this movement. Thank you for caring enough about yourself and those around you to listen to this stuff and to go out and take the challenge. Check in with 3 people this week that you don't normally check in on. Just let them know you're there. And the people that are in your circle, pay attention. When they come up with "I'm good, I'm fine," ask another question and then listen. Thank you all for being here. Have an awesome rest of your week. Please share with us how your check-ins go. I'm excited to hear about that. And as always, thank you. We can't do this without you. Thank you so much for being part of what I call the movement, and that is the On Purpose podcast. Have a great week.